Hello and welcome to Nathan's Trains and Things. Today we will be looking at Lionel's Yukon Special Freight Set. It includes an Alaska Railroad GP7, an Alaska Railroad single dome tank car, an Alaska Railroad 2-bay hopper, an Alaska Railroad searchlight car, and an Alaska Railroad caboose. Before we continue with the set, let's have a little history on the GP7. The EMD GP7 is a 4-axle diesel-electric road switcher built by General Motors Electromotive Division. A total of 2,729 GP7s were built between October 1949 and May 1954. The GP7 has a maximum speed of 65 miles per hour and generates a total of 1,500 horsepower. The GP7 was built as a general-purpose locomotive and proved to be so popular, EMD struggled to keep up with the demand. Most Class 1 railroads stopped using GP7s in the 1980s, but some remain in rebuilt form as switcher locomotives. Notable railroads to originally order the GP7 in large numbers are the New York Central, the Chesapeake and Ohio, the Seaboard Air Line, the Chicago and Northwestern, the Santa Fe, and while the Alaska did not originally order any GP7s, they did operate 12, which were originally ordered by the U.S. Army. Getting back to the set. This set was most recently featured in Lionel's 2005 catalog. The GP7 locomotive features a bright headlight, Lionel's train sound system, transformer-controlled forward, neutral, and reverse directional operation, dual metal couplers, dual powerful motors, metal frame, and an operating strobe light. As previously mentioned, rolling stock features a single-dome tank car, a 2-bay hopper, operating searchlight, and a caboose. However, I purchased this set used at a family-owned hobby store, so instead of a searchlight car, I have a second 2-bay hopper car. This suits me just fine as I have never been terribly fond of searchlight cars. The rolling stock also features operating metal couplers, interior illumination in the caboose, and more. Alright, let's have a look at some of the details on this GP7. Have a look at the front of the locomotive to begin. First we have the metal coupler, which is manually operated. There's also a step on the front, and you can see the coupler bar detail is there. It's just part of the front assembly. There's also a metal handrail here, some steps there and there, nice separately applied ladder, the indicator lights, headlights, and lighted number boards, and of course the nice sharp Alaska Railroad paint job. Moving along to the side of the locomotive, there's nice detail in the doors on the locomotive, hatches that do not open on it but would open on the real one. There's some more of that detail here. There's the steps on the front, more metal handrails that are built into the metal frame. There's the diesel horn front facing on this side. You can see there's the engineer in the cab who is for some reason facing directly out the side of the locomotive. That doesn't make a terrible amount of sense, but you know, it's a nice detail. There's the nicely detailed trucks, some air tank detail and other such detail on the trucks at the back. There's some grates that are not see-through, but they're at least there. And yeah, that about wraps it up. There's a nice Alaska paint job. It's not the most detailed locomotive ever, but for the money, it's very, very nice. Moving to the back of the locomotive, there's the rear manual coupler, the rear tail light, the lighted number boards and indicator lights, and another separately applied ladder and the same metal handrail we saw. On top, there's some detail up front. You can see the rear-facing horn on the other side. There's the blinking strobe light on top, some nice coolant fan detail, and the 2 smokestacks. So yeah, not the most detailed locomotive in the world, but it's a starter set, and it's got remarkably good detail for how much it costs. Moving on to the tank car. For the rolling stock, other than the caboose, we're not going to go all the way around it because you can get a very good idea of what's there just by looking at the side, and there's not a terrible amount of detail on the front and back of them. So, starting at the front, you can see there's the handbrake, metal coupler, nice detail in the 2 trucks. You can see they've got the little springs in there. There's riveting on the end there, a metal handrail that goes all the way around. Separately applied ladder that goes up on top of the dome. The top of the dome has some nicely applied detail. There's some readable decals there, and there, giving capacity, weight, other such specs, which is a nice detail. There's the Alaska Railroad roundel there, and of course the Alaska detail here. And that about wraps it up for the tank car. So it's actually a fairly nice car. It's got nice detail, and honestly, you can't expect much more from a starter set car, so I am quite pleased with it, actually. Moving on to the 2-bay hopper, there is on top a nicely detailed coal load. At the front there is some ladder, but that's cast into it. It's not separately applied. There's a separately applied handbrake, the nice metal coupler on the front. Same detail in the trucks as on the tank car. More rivet work around on the panels. There's some detail for the latches of the 2 bays where the coal could be let out. And then of course there's some nice looking decals along the side giving, weight, numbers, that sort of thing. Number of the tank car is 16214. It's the ARR, and of course the Alaska Railroad roundel. For the caboose, the front has the handbrake, ladder, and of course the door and windows and some handholds and such. The neat little chain detail right there that I would not have expected. There's also along the side, that's a heavy built looking caboose. I mean, it's very beefy around the windows. There's the rivet detail all along there and up there. The windows have rivets around them. At the top, you have more windows up there. The trucks are the same as the 2 other rail cars were, actually, which is they're not badly detailed. They're nice. Of course, you've got the other decals on the side with the Alaska and the roundel. Around the back, there's the same exact detail as was on the front. And then when you look at the top of the rail car, you have the exhaust stack for the stove, some nice detail on the roof, and the nice sections where you could have someone walk along the roof to perform maintenance and such. Alright, let's have a look at some of the sounds this locomotive has to offer. As you can see, there's the basic diesel sound that is in all Lionel locomotives. There's the whistle sound, and when I blow the whistle, it initiates the crew talk sound effects. So let's have a look at some of those.
Dispatch, we're looking for outbound clearance, over.
Engineer, this is the Yardmaster. You are good to go.
Thank you, dispatch. Out. The empties are clear, Biggie. We're ready to roll. Roger that, Brakeman. Dispatch, are we clear for departure yet?
You are good to go. Over.
Okay, buddy, we are cleared outbound. Stand by. Dispatch, we're standing by for track orders, over.
Engineer, you are cleared outbound. Over.
The empties are clear, Biggie. We're ready to roll. Roger that, Brakeman. Dispatch, are we clear for departure yet?
You are good to go. Over.
Okay, buddy, we are cleared outbound. Stand by.
Alrighty, there's the crew talks. There's also a bell sound effect. The bell actually sounds surprisingly good on this locomotive. It's the basic bell, but it's still nice. And that's really about it for the sounds. It's just a basic sound package on this GP7 Yukon Special, just conventional. Alright, let's get this train rolled out.
Dispatch, we're standing by for track orders, over.
Engineer, you are cleared outbound. Over.
Overall, I would say I'm very pleased with the detail on this set. Obviously, as I stated earlier in this video, I do not have the Searchlight car, so I unfortunately cannot review that for you. But all things considered, for a starter set, it's very nicely detailed. It's basic, but nice, and it looks great. In terms of price, on Lionel's website, it is $250, but when I purchased it at a hobby shop, I bought it for $150. Obviously, at most Lionel dealers and hobby shops, they charge less than retail price, so you can expect to get this locomotive and set for under $250. My favorite feature on the entire set has to be the strobe light on top, simply because it just looks really great, and I think it is the piece that makes this set so interesting. You don't see the strobe light on very many starter sets or sets in general. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time.